when does it stop getting worse? I need to know this, okay? I need to know, when does it stop getting worse? I'm on chapter 502, and listen, okay? We went from like one of the most hilarious bits in the entire series with Duval. All right, oh my gosh. Okay, we gotta catch up. Okay, let's start at the beginning. So the crew meets Cammy, and Cammy is really worried because she thinks that her friend Hachin got kidnapped. And Hachin, if we remember, was part of Arlong's crew, and we followed his whole like cover story thing, and he has his little takoyaki business now. So she was like eaten by a sea monster, and then she was worried about Hachin, and then they find out that he was kidnapped because he thought that she had been taken. And the crew's not 100%, like they don't know that it's Hachin yet. So they agree that if they go rescue her friend, that A, they'll get fed takoyaki, and B, she'll tell them how to get to Fishman Island. So they go to the kidnapper's place to get Hachin back. This was genuinely one of the most hilarious and funny bits that I have read in the entire series. I was not expecting the like helmeted Duval to be a lookalike of Sanji's drawn wanted poster. It was so out of left field. I was not expecting it at all. I was howling, you guys. It was so funny. It was so funny. And then the fact that Sanji like changed his bone structure and he was all happy and he kept calling himself Mr. Handsome. It was so hilarious. I loved it. So the crew does find out that Hachin, it's that Hachin from Arlong's crew, and like Nami is so quick to like forgive and be like, hey, it's all good, like it's no big deal, which I love her for that, and I just think that speaks so much to her character. I love that whole bit. They got fed their takoyaki, and then they find out that in order to get to the new world, there's only 2 ways that you can go. So you can go over the wall, or like mountain, and you have to have special permission from the world government to do that. And obviously the Straw Hats are not going to get approval from the world government. So the second way is to go way down to the bottom and go through Fishman Island. And that's what they need to do, but obviously their ship won't be able to take that because they'd have to withstand all the pressure. So Cammy and Hachin say that they can go to the archipelago and get a specialist to coat their ship in like a special resin that will allow it to go down that deep and not crack or break. So they go to the archipelago, and it's like made up of a ton of tiny small islands, and everything's cool and great and fun. But then we find out something really disturbing. We find out, you guys, we find out about the celestial dragons. I genuinely didn't think that it could get worse than Mr. Spam. I'm dreadfully wrong. I was dreadfully wrong. So we find out that the celestial dragons are the descendants of the 20 kings that came together 800 years ago to start up the world government and create the world government. And the celestial dragons are descended from them. And they are like so prideful and believe themselves so superior to humans that they don't even like to breathe the same air as like the commoners. And they are also avidly involved in human trading and selling, which I was not expecting that to be a thing in this manga. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. You guys warned me it would get dark, but it genuinely, the bit where we meet the first dude and the girl runaway pirate with the collar is there, that was already disturbing enough. And then we meet the Carlos, like the son of the main guy, and like that whole interaction where he wanted the nurse to be like his 13th wife, and then like her fiance is like begging not to take her away. I genuinely was so thrown off and disturbed that I had to put the manga down and not touch it for like 3 days.
This is my life.
Yeah, it's just really heavy stuff. It's really heavy stuff. I'm floored. I'm taken aback. Like, the amount of emotional whiplash in this manga is just insane. So we did that, found out that that was a thing. I loved that Zoro, like, straight up didn't know about the celestial dragons, which he's lost, by the way, and I love the joke of him getting lost. I think it's hysterical. And he's just like, he just goes up drinking booze, and then he goes to attack Carlos, and another girl, I think her name was it Jewel? She tackles Zoro because obviously they can't attack the celestial dragons, or they like unleash all of the navy there. Cammy gets kidnapped for real, and she's taken to an auction house, where we also get to meet Silvers, who was vice captain to freaking Roger. Hello? I'm so excited. I hope we get some more like Roger info and backstory. Apparently he's called the Dark King. Garp was talking about it because they found out that he was also up for auction. Garp is so funny. I love him. He's easily next to like Kobe, my favorite like Navy individual. I think that he's so hysterical and like unserious. So he also said that he probably put himself up for auction to cover his gambling debts, which I think is hilarious. But he seems very powerful, so I'm very excited to see what kind of powers and abilities he has. But yeah, he is the one that coats the ship in the resin. So the crew is currently at the auction house. They're trying to rescue Cammy, and Nami is the one that's like, okay, well, if we can't go in fists blazing, then I'll go to the ship and we can buy her back with the treasure, which I love that it's Nami who has that idea because she loves the treasure. Yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at. Just really intense stuff, and there's a lot of pirates here as well. Like, we meet, like, there's like all kinds, and they have high bounties. So I'm really curious to see. It's a lot of new characters introduced, so I'm very interested to see where this is going to go. And then, so we also find out that Ace is, we know that Ace is about to be executed, but it's just kind of now coming out and people are realizing it, and everyone's freaking out because if they publicly execute Ace, then Whitebeard's gonna declare war, and it's gonna be absolute chaos, which I kind of hope happens. I would love to see some Whitebeard versus Navy action. That sounds amazing, but I don't want Ace to be executed, so maybe he can rescue him and also go to war. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm trying to do like chunkier updates. I think I want to avoid spoilers. I'm trying to read just like my trusted friends' comments. So please just behave. I love you all. I will keep reading even though I'm scared and my tummy hurts. I hope you guys are ready for a good One Piece update, because holy moly, there was so much packed in to these few chapters that I read. We got to sit down and talk about it. So we left off at like a really, really pinnacle point. So Cammy was abducted, just a quick recap, and she was getting ready to be auctioned off, and right when the whole crew gets there, they are really banking that they'll use their treasure to win her back. However, I thought his name was Carlos, but I believe it's Charlos. Put up a $500 million bid, and the Straw Hats only had 200 million, I believe. He outbid everybody. So Luffy gets there and he immediately is like, hey, there's Cammy, let's go get her. And then so Hachi is trying to stop him because obviously they don't want to upset these celestial dragons. And in the process of Hachi trying to stop Luffy, they realize that he's a fishman. And as we can see, all of the prejudice and issues that people still have with fish people. he's immediately incredibly ostracized, and Charlos ends up hurting him really badly. And it's so intense of a moment because you see like Cammy despairing, pounding on the glass. Everyone's completely, well, I should say the Straw Hats are completely horrified. And then Charlos is just sitting there dancing. He's completely happy with himself. No sense of shame, horror that one should feel in a situation like that. And Luffy has the face. You know what face I'm talking about. It is the best face in the entire manga when he gets that shadowed, serious, absolutely disdainful look. You just know that it is about to be incredibly satisfying. And when I tell you guys, I about screamed and jumped out of my seat when Luffy punched him. Oh my goodness. It is my new favorite Luffy punch, hands down. Previously, it was his punch with Bellamy. This one blows it out of the water. It was so satisfying. I'm telling you, as much as Oda like cranks you up, he can really deliver and bring the satisfaction. These celestial dragons, quite literally, are immediately at the top of my most hated villains list. They're terrible. They are genuinely absolutely terrible. So now that Charlos has been completely humbled, obviously his father and sister are incredibly upset, and they immediately call for the Navy to be called, and for an admiral to appear. So this big battle begins basically where a bunch of people are trying to flee because now they know that the Navy is coming, but also the Celestial Dragons and the auction house staff are all kind of fighting with each other. So there's honestly a ton of really funny moments in this, like when Usopp arrives and he falls and he lands directly on Saint Rosewald. That was so funny, and the fact that Usopp doesn't know that, like, he has no idea who he just landed on. Zoro being completely confused on why they're at an auction house instead of the pirate ship. He has no idea what's going on as usual, but he's just happy to fight. And then Silvers, right, joins the fight and wipes out the entire auction house. I'm so curious to see what his devil fruit power is. It's really amazing because he was also able to remove Kamy's collar without it exploding or detonating on her in any way. And it almost seems like he can remove like people's air or something like that, or suffocate them somehow, so that they all fall unconscious. So I don't know. Maybe his power is like being able to remove things quickly. I have no idea, but he's obviously very, very powerful. Um, and then we meet yet another giant, and I just find it really, really cool. And it's such good writing and world building on Oda's part that he keeps sprinkling in these giants. I mean, we get at least, I would say, one every arc to every other arc. And I'm really just, I can't wait to get to Elbaf because it just seems like there's so many little giant connections, no pun intended, to that place. And the Straw Hats have now three, I think, connections to them, maybe four. I think it's only three. So I just really, really love that we are still getting these giants here and there. So now that everything is going on, and Silvers also said that he was very excited to meet Luffy, and I was very excited that he knew who Luffy was. And then we cut to the auction house owner or runner, and he is calling Doflamingo. I didn't even catch the smiley faces that, that's like his thing. And Doflamingo is just laughing. He thinks it's hilarious. He says that this kind of trading business is getting old and that the new age of pirates is basically upon them. He says that the auction house can belong to Disco now. He basically wants no part of it. Again, I just get a really icky feeling whenever I have any kind of, whenever we see any interaction with Doflamingo, it makes my stomach flip. There's something about a villain that just laughs so unhingedly that is just so nerve-wracking and disturbing. It's very much like Joker vibes, kind of. It's usually, to me, it is the ones that are unhinged like that that tend to be the worst and most traumatizing. So I can't wait to get to that. So anyway, back to the battle. We see Kid, Luffy, and Law all battling the Navy, and I love how Kid basically rage baited Law and Luffy into fighting. And forgive me, I know that Law, his name is also Trafalgar, I believe, right? I am. I just wrote down Kid. I totally forgot to write his other name down. So it kind of showcases Kid and Law's devil fruit power, and theirs is really cool. So Kid essentially can reflect and send it back, which is really, really powerful. Obviously, it seems like he can either like if it's like magnetism, so he can either draw or repel things, which I find is very, very fascinating. And then Laws is crazy. He's like a, I think earlier they mentioned that he's like a surgeon because he literally can like take body parts from different people and rearrange them, which is really freaky, honestly. I love Law's character design, by the way. Something about the eye bags, his terrible, rude manners. I don't know. I really like him right off the bat, and his little like bear sidekick crewmate is very, very funny. I am curious though because they were also wearing Doflamingo's emblems, so I'm quite curious to see what's gonna come from that. And then, so we also see at this point that Kuma has arrived. I was not prepared or expecting to run into him again so soon. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised because they're so close to the Navy headquarters. But listen, this dude is scary and unsettling. I was not prepared to see him again so soon. I can't stop yapping and I still have more to cover, so I will make a part two and post that as well. So, see you in part two. Okay, One Piece update, part two. Part one is already up, so if you want, you can go see that. So, first of all, I want to start and talk about these dang cover stories. I am so mad at Oda because what do you mean you're making me have these soft-hearted feelings towards CP9 of all people? I want to stay mad at them. And what do you mean they're like out in the streets performing party tricks to raise money so that they can pay for Lucci's medical expenses? I'm it makes me want to be like more endeared to them, but I'm still mad. I still hold a grudge. They caused so much pain and suffering and problems for everyone in Water 7 and Ennie's lobby, and you mean that they're just like all fine as a pack now and they're like off? I'm I don't they make me mad. They make me mad. But I'm also like, "Oh, that's so sweet that they want to help Robert." I'm like, "Really? You guys are wasting your efforts on Robert?" Look, maybe they will, turn over a new leaf or something, but I'm very salty because Lucci is fine. They were able to pay for his medical expenses. And the last one I read, they were like going bowling. I'm like, what do you mean? There's like this auction battle and intensity going on, and then you guys are just off bowling. I mean, maybe now that they're away from Mr. Spam, they'll turn over a new leaf, but oh, I'm really having some inner confliction about CP9. So anyway, so this is the part I was really, really, really excited about. So the gang is able to escape and they get back to the little like bar where Silver's is, and we get to find out, you guys, some Roger lore, and I'm so excited. I've been waiting for so long. Finally, over 500 chapters in, and we can learn more about Roger other than he was the pirate king who hid the One Piece somewhere. So, first of all, and I would like to say too, that in one of my theories, like not my last theory video, I think, but the last one, I can't remember. In one of my theories, I think I said that Roger must have turned himself in, and he did. We find out, which it was kind of sad because Silver said that he had a terminal illness 4 years before he was executed. And I'm I'm like, holy cow, what is with, I find it very, very interesting that illness is mentioned so much in this story, and not in a bad way at all. I think it's really cool, and it's also really realistic. I mean, there's a lot of people with different illnesses, and I don't necessarily know if like cancer is a canon thing here, but the fact that he puts in things like illnesses and contagion, I don't know, it just really adds to this expansive world building that he does, and it makes me like want to learn about it all. Like, ooh, what did he have? Where did he get it? So anyway, so he basically turned himself in and he disbanded his crew, said to go on and keep living their lives. So they all went their separate ways. And he did this very strategically because when he was executed, he basically said, this is when he declared that, whoever can find the One Piece, my treasure that I have hid, you can be the next pirate king. And it basically lit the world on fire. The Navy was all cocky and confident that they had complete control over the situation and were going to put out this age of pirates. And Roger just completely put up his middle finger and said, haha, I'm going to whip up a new age of pirates right here. And that's exactly what happened. Silvers said that there was never more laughing, crying, celebrating, and grieving than that day where he was executed. We also find out that he was born in Logtown, which I thought was very, very interesting. Which I loved Logtown. It makes me want to go back now and reread that arc. It's so short. I also, again, keep finding it so interesting. So Shanks told Silvers that he met this kid named Luffy, and he was saying the exact same things that Roger was saying. And I'm just so curious because I don't know, like it's not only they look alike. Like that's why I thought that Roger was maybe his grandfather. I want to know what the connection is. Like I'm like, what is he, like reincarnated? Is he like literally Roger's spirit? I just wonder what the connection is because Luffy just very much, he's fundamentally similar to Roger. He's clearly being set up, and not just as the MC, like this is literally who he is. It seems like he and Roger are almost like the same person, even with their laughter, right? And wanting to smile through the situation. So I just find that very interesting. And then I got another theory correct. We found out, Robin asks, do you guys know what happened during the 100-year gap? And he said, yes, we found out everything and we know exactly what happened. I was so excited. I was so excited that I was right. Like, part of me, I'm telling you, I wonder like how it's all connected. And I feel like you guys who are caught up still don't know. Oda's diabolical for teasing this. It like first of all, he teased it in Skypiea, and then he's confirming it now. And then if I go on to read 600 more chapters and still barely know anything, it's painful. Okay, I love lore, but I feel like Oda like strings you along with question, 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 and then he like info dumps all these revelations, and then he's silent again for like another 400 chapters in between different topics, so it feels like it's been forever. But I'm very, very excited. And Robin also says that she doesn't want to know. She wants to find out for herself. And I really was shocked, but also surprised. And I think that that's kind of, it speaks to her as an archaeologist. She wants to adventure and find it out for herself. So I thought that that was a really cool thing. And then Luffy has something similar when Usopp asks, do you know where the One Piece is? And Luffy blows up and says, don't you dare tell me anything about the One Piece. If you spoil anything about what the One Piece is, where it is, if it exists, I'm gonna quit pirating right this second because that's no fun, and I'm not gonna be a pirate unless it's fun. And everyone was like so shocked, and floored by his response. And you see Silver's and forgive me, the woman that he's with, just smile. Like they clearly love this response. And it's so cool, you know, and it really shows that Luffy genuinely just loves being a pirate for the fun of it. You know, he wants to explore and have his own journey. Like how many people would have done that? You know what I mean? Like how many other people would turn away the chance to know anything about the One Piece from Roger's right-hand man? It's really, really cool. Um, and then he said a quote that I love here. He said, "The one who is most free is the Pirate King." And again, it goes through this theme of Luffy representing freedom, and it was such an awesome moment. I loved it. Right at the end, we see that the Navy Admiral has arrived, and who is it? His name is Kizaru. I was like, who is this guy, and why does he look so familiar? He's the agenda piece guy. I was like, no, it literally clicked, and I'm like, oh. Anyway, agenda piece guy, we'll see what happens. I'm about out of time on this too. I hope you enjoyed the update. I'll check in soon, okay? They're gone. They're all gone. What did I just read? I never, spoilers for Sabaody, click away now. I never want to see Luffy that devastated again. Again, I feel like he's like a little brother. I'm devastated. I feel like I'm like too in shock to even cry or do anything. Like I got so excited when cause they defeated the pacifista of Kuma, which, first of all, what the hell? There's like 4 or 5 of him. So they defeat like 2 of them, and then the real one shows up, and then freaking Kizaru is there. I hate that guy. But then we were like so happy because Rayleigh stepped in and they were gonna escape. And then the freaking real Kuma is there, and Luffy has to watch. The crew has to watch as every one of them are. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm at loss for words. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I feel like the only other time we've seen Luffy like genuinely devastated like this is when he had his fight with Usopp, and even that is nothing compared to this. And like the rest of the crew's devastation. Obviously they can't all be dead per se because they're the main crew, but like they're clearly going to be separated. And then we've got this whole execution with Ace. Like I want to go back to Skypiea where it's funny. Please, even Thriller Bark. I don't want to do this. I don't want to keep reading. I don't want to keep reading, but I'm gonna have to. I can't stop reading now, so I'm gonna keep reading and I'll check back in later, but I'm really sad, you guys. I was not expecting the arc to end like this at all. I did not see it coming at all. I'm devastated.